live video. Today I'm doing it at home. It's a recipe that has been inspired by a dish that is served on the Emirates Airlines. They actually got in touch and asked me to redo a recipe that they have on their website, Emirates.com. They have the in-flight. They have recipes on the channel, and I chose this one, the crepes that's served with apples and raisins. So crepes are basically, I made some earlier. They're basically the thin pancakes, the thin ones. They're actually called crepes. The pancakes are actually the thicker ones, and usually the ones that are fluffy. But depending on where you are, they can still be classified as pancakes. So I'll show you how to make the crepes. So let me put this aside. And then for the apple and raisins compote, it's basically apples, raisins. We cook them. They're actually inside here. Let me show you. So this is it. It's apples and raisins, and the apples are a little bit crunchy and sweet and some cinnamon. So I'll just show you the recipe of how to make it. So let me put it aside and let me start with the start with the apple compote, because that's the one that will take some time to make. So while it's cooking, I'll also now show you how to make the crepes batter. Now start with the green apples, or the Granny Smith apples. These are the best ones because they are tangy. They are not the sweet ones. The red ones, in as much as they can work, I think the ones you want to go for is the green ones. So the first thing you need to do is to peel. So I'm using 2 of them right now. Now you can choose also to leave the peel on, but especially for the green apples, the peel tends to be a little bit tough, a little bit hard. So I would suggest peel the apples. If you have the red ones, it's fine. You can just use the red ones. It's just that you'll have to reduce the amount of sugar that you put, that will add. One thing about green apples is that they don't oxidize easily. They don't turn brown easily. If you're tuning in live right now, I'm actually making an apple and raisins crepes inspired by Emirates. This recipe is actually brought to you by Emirates Airlines. They asked me to do a recipe that is on their website and show you how to do it. So basically what I want to do is to show you how to make your own 5-star meal at home. So peel the apples, and then what I'm doing, I'll cut them into wedges. And as you can see, I'm trying to remove the seeds. Excuse me. So I hope you're keeping safe. The thing about the time you're in fact, that's what is forcing me to do this kind of a video, a live video, as opposed to my regular recorded video. Basically trying to work with what we have. And what I would say is that if you are a new subscriber, if you have not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button so that you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out. I have so many recipes that you can try out, and this is just one of them. So I'm cutting them into dices. Trying to make them as even as possible. You can also cut them into wedges, just like this. You can just leave them like this. So test them. While you're at it, you can taste and confirm if the apple is sweet. Perfect. Like I said, the green ones are better because they're not the very sweet ones, but this is perfect for this kind of a recipe. I'll also add some water and we'll go start cooking. So basically we need about 100 ml of water. I'll probably add some more, but the idea is to cook the apples in the water, and you just want them to be covered by the water. And I'll also add some cinnamon sticks. Now cinnamon gives the flavor. If you don't have sticks, you can also use the powder, but when you use the sticks, they have much more flavor. And I'll also add some sugar, about 2 large tablespoons, and then let it start boiling. And then I'll also reduce the heat so that it simmers. We just want them to cook until they are a little bit soft but still crunchy. So while that is cooking, let's make the pancake mixture. And I apologize for the lighting. Again, this is part of the time we are in. Right now I'm doing it from my home. I'm using my phone to do this recording. My wife is my camera person, and I'm just trying to make do with what we have. But I hope you get the recipe right. And then let me show you how not to make the crepes. So for crepes, we need, we'll start with 2 eggs. Let me start with the 2 eggs. Don't worry about the recipe. I'll include it in the description when I finish the video. So I need 2 eggs. So while this is cooking, before we let me also show you that we also need butter, but melted butter. Now, if you don't have butter, you can use cooking oil or margarine. It's just that butter has more flavor to the recipe. But what we literally need it melted, because the oil or the butter in this case helps in making the crepes soft. So while that is melting, let me add, so we have 2 eggs. I'll also add about 4 large tablespoons of sugar, 4 to 5. What else? We need some vanilla essence. Vanilla is optional. If you don't have it, it's fine. You can skip, but it adds some flavor. So I'm adding about a teaspoon. So when you're doing the melting of the butter, you don't try and not make it too hot, because what will happen if it's too hot, it will, because I'm going to add it to the mixture, it might cook the eggs. So right now it's a little bit hot, so I'll actually even not add it right now because it will actually cook the eggs. So I'll wait for the time when I'll add the milk to add the butter. Yes, I've seen your comment about the camera. Yes, like I said, when you're doing it live, it's not the same as a recorded video, but let's, so mix the eggs first, eggs, sugar. I'll add the flour first. So this is about 90 grams of all-purpose flour. When I measured it, it was about 5 tablespoons, actually four heaped tablespoons. But again, I always insist whenever you're doing pastries, or it's always good to invest in a weighing scale because it makes your work way easier. But I'll also show you how you can also tell when the flour, the mixture is ready. So about 90 grams of flour. So the trick is you start mixing this first, and this is to avoid lumps. This. So the idea is to reduce, how do you reduce the lumps is to add, before you adding the milk, mix the sugar and the eggs, and then now I'll add the milk. The milk is about 180 grams or 180 ml. Now the thing you need to note whenever you're making crepes as compared to pancakes, the thick fluffy pancakes, is that the mixture should be watery. So like this. So assuming you had too much flour, basically all you need to do, if it's too thick, or add a little bit more of the milk. If you had less milk, if it's too light, just add a little bit more of the flour. But basically the idea is to have it runny, like this. It looks like it doesn't have a lot of flour, but that's the way it should be for crepes. And then at this point I'll add the melted butter. Again, I said you can also use cooking oil. So that's the crepes mixture. So for this recipe, you can make it for a dessert. It can be also for breakfast. So it's up to you. So mixture is ready, no lumps. And the trick, I think you've caught the trick of how to do it. So we'll start cooking now. Let me grab the flour, the mixture, and the butter. So pan should be hot. So the same pan I used to melt the butter, I'll actually start with it. And then it's always a good idea to have a ladle like this. So the ladle is the one that will help you when you're serving, when you're scooping the pancake mixture into the pan. It gives you an equal amount. So I'll make just a few, about 2 of them, just so that you know how it's done. So a little bit of butter, and then when the pan is semi-hot, I scoop 1 small ladle, and I'm using a small pan. I think this is 22 centimeter pan. So you pour on one side, and you let the pancake mixture spread. And you want a thin layer of the mixture. So depending on the size of pan you're using, depending on the size of the ladle you're using, it will determine the size of your crepes. So this is what, again, we are making. So just make sure you have the same size pan and get the mixture right in terms of what you use to scoop it with. So the idea is to have it on medium heat, like that, and wait for it to brown. And then for the browning, you can either notice it on the sides, and it should take about a minute. So while this is cooking, before it cooks completely, let's check on the raisins, I mean the apples. Okay, so they're almost done. I've actually reduced the heat. So before that, let's go back to the pancakes. Now, mind you, when the heat is too much, what will happen is that it can easily burn. And that usually happens especially for the first one. Let's see how this one will be. Now you can use a spatula like this, or you can just flip it. So the idea when you're making crepes is you just want it to be slightly browned. Sometimes for me, I don't mind. I actually like the crispiness of the browning. So this for me is still fine. But again, because it's a thin layer, it doesn't take long to cook. I'll add it to my batch of the ones that I made earlier. So for the second one, I'll not add more butter, but it depends on your pan. So let's do the second one. Again, 1 ladle spoon. And then hold your pan, pour on one side, and let it spread. So continue moving it like this until all the mixture, all the pan is covered, and you have an even layer of the mixture. And anyone who is watching live right now, don't worry about the recipe. I'll post everything. You can actually watch this video once again because it will be saved as a recording on my YouTube channel. If you are new to the page, subscribe and hit the bell button so that you're notified whenever I have a new recipe out. So right now, so you're waiting for the pancake to brown. Like I said, you don't want it to be too much in terms of browning. You just want it to be cooked. Personally, I like it when it has the crispiness on the edges. And as you can see, it started to like bubble up. That means it's cooking. It's actually almost cooked. You can always check. If it's not brown enough, you can let it keep cooking. As you can see the edges here, it's brown. That means it's done. So that's it. That's all you want to see. Remember, it's a thin layer. Don't worry even if it gets torn, because I'll show you how to fold it into the finished dish. Now for the apples and raisins, I'll add the raisins at this stage. I've already turned off the heat. So, small amount of raisins. And then stir. So that's the apple compote. And if I can taste, nice. Cinnamon is really great with the apples. The crunchiness of the apple. Wow. Remember I said when I started is that the green apples actually make the best ones, because if you had the red ones, they are a little bit sweet, maybe not so nice, but if that's what you have, you can still use it. So that is ready. My second crepes is ready. So that's the one I've made right now. Again, one last one. Let me show you one last one before I show you how to plate. Small amount of butter or margarine or cooking oil. So small amount. Have your ladle. When you're having a ladle, it will help you have the same amount of mixture, and then let it spread. So that's how you do the crepes. Now we have these ones that are ready. Now I'll show you how to plate the apple compote and to make our final dish. I'll do one more demonstration of how you come to assemble it. So let me set up the plating part of it. So with this, we're also serving it with some sour cream, fresh cream, sour cream mixture what I did is the sour cream, the fresh cream, mixed 1 spoon of each in a small bowl, added some sugar and a little bit of lemon juice to make our like a cream sauce, like a sauce, which goes very well. The sweetness of the pancakes or the crepes and the apples and the sourness of the cream makes a perfect combination. So when it comes to plating, so how you simply do it is with the crepes that is cooled down. The one that is cooled down will be the best. The fresh one still tends to be a little bit crispy. So you have your crepes there and you have your apple compote. You can either serve it warm or you can let it cool down, it's fine. But just make sure you drain off all the liquid and then basically place it on one side. 1/4 of the pancake or the crepes with no liquid, and then fold it into 4. First of all, fold it into 2 and then take this 1/2 like that. So that's one piece. So for the second piece, the same thing. If you have one that is torn, no problem, just place the mixture on that side that is torn. Again, I say this meal is inspired by Emirates. This is one of the dishes that they serve on their flight. So I'm doing a sort of a collaboration of how you can do this at home. And then when we all start flying again, maybe you can choose Emirates as your preferred airline. So again, 1/4, just try and make them into one. Don't put too much, and then into 4s like that. And then you finish it off with the cream. Let's see, on one side there. And a sprig of mint like that. And then maybe you can also sprinkle a little bit of the liquid on top like that as a garnish. Maybe a few pieces of the apples, just like that. And there you have it. Apple and raisins crepes. And as a bonus, let me show you another. Let's say you don't have apples, you don't have raisins, or you don't like them. Another way you can do this is you can actually use some strawberries, and I have some here. Basically what you need fresh strawberries, cut them into small pieces. I'll not show you practically, but that's another idea. You can use strawberries, cut them in small pieces, and then use the same procedure, put them in one end, and then fold it over, and then serve it with fresh cream. Yeah, that's it. I think that's today's recipe. Like I said, it's brought to you by Emirates. But I hope most importantly you've learned something new. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button. I just recently hit 100,000 subscribers and I'm so excited, and I'm looking forward to the next milestone, which is 1 million, where I actually am looking forward to the gold play button from YouTube. So I hope again you've learned something. I'm your host, Chef Raphael, signing out. Again, watch, if you're stuck in terms of what to cook, what you want to know what to cook, go to my Facebook channel, my Facebook page, so many recipes, or scroll up and down on my channel and see the many different recipes you can try out today. And until next time, goodbye.